MOTROLIX.
Welcome to the 15th episode of the Cadillac Society podcast, where we discuss the latest news, rumors, and anything else surrounding the iconic luxury marque. On today's episode, why did Cadillac discontinue the Escalade Diesel? I'm your host G, and joining us as always is Cadillac Society Executive Editor Alexander Luft.
I'm here to talk about diesel.
Are you?
Mm-hmm.
Diesel or the lack thereof?
Lack thereof.
Oh,
is more like it.
All right. Well, new listeners keep on finding us, so I'd like to take a few moments to remind them where they can find all of our episodes. CadillacSociety.com/podcast is the place to watch, listen, and subscribe to this show. You can also find us in all the popular podcatchers. And if you enjoy the show, please share it, tweet it, put it on Facebook, send the YouTube link to your friends. We want even more people to know about the Cadillac Society podcast. So, diesel.
Yeah, no more diesel.
Oh, man.
In the Escalade. So they, this was something that we had discussed when Cadillac initially announced the refresh 2025 Escalade. I believe that was back in the July timeframe. And the move came as a shock to some. Not to everyone, but to some. And so I thought I'd take a few moments and, we could kind of go through the reasoning of why the Escalade no longer offers it. And to get us the context, I interviewed the Escalade marketing manager, Donnelly Baxter, and I asked him exactly why the diesel engine is gone. So let's listen to what he had to say. The diesel, obviously you're dropping the engine option. Maybe walk me through the decision there and the thinking there.
Yeah, that was really driven by customer demand. We're the only vehicle, the 2024 model was the only vehicle currently left in the luxury SUV, the full-size luxury SUV segment with the diesel engine. And we only had a 5% take rate on it. So it was really, if you think about the greater market and only 5% of one model wanting diesel, the customers in this segment are really looking for an ICE vehicle that they know and are used to, or they want to make the shift to electrification. So that's why we no longer have the diesel, but we've got kind of the luxury of choice is what we're saying, where if a customer wants a nice vehicle, we've got the redesigned 2025. If they want an EV, we've got our no compromise from the ground up Escalade IQ.
Okay. So that was 5% take rate across both body styles?
Yeah, it's a little bit below that for the short and a little bit higher for the long wheelbase.
Okay. So it averages out to 5. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's lower than I think anyone's ever thought. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I know some people are missing it, and it was a great engine, don't get me wrong, but customers in this segment are just looking for something different, so we're meeting them with the package that they want.
5%. 5%.
Wasn't selling too well, huh?
No. This is like a weird market because if you look at the industry overall, there have been various luxury players who have tried to offer a diesel engine, and every single one of them has either failed or they didn't want to admit that it failed and they just discontinued it. Classic example is the Mercedes GL class. The GL, the precursor to the GLS, offered a 6-cylinder diesel engine, just like the Escalade. And the GL was, and still is, it was replaced now, has been replaced now by the GLS, but that was a direct rival to the Escalade. Guess what? Diesel engine, gone from the lineup. The way this cookie seems to crumble is diesel does not work in the luxury space in the U.S. That's just the way it works. What's the whole purpose of getting a diesel, right? You're getting range, right? Higher levels of fuel economy. And so that's where the disconnect, I think, starts. Fuel economy is something that you want to really, really push on the mainstream, side of the equation. But when it comes to luxury customers, fuel economy, they don't care. They have the money. That's why they're buying a luxury car. And when you go as high in the luxury car space as the Escalade, meaning people are shelling out $100,000 or more, transaction prices I believe, for the Escalade for the past few years have been over 100K, what's the point? What's the point of having, eking out more, as much as possible from a fuel economy standpoint, when you really have the money? They have the money to spend at the pump. They don't mind if they stop, one extra time a month or two extra times a month to fill up the Escalade. It doesn't matter to them. So they'd rather have it's not just status, but they don't care.
Well, the thing is, I think at that level, it's like the last thing on your mind is, like you were saying, fuel economy.
Pinching a penny.
You're like, no, this is status. This is a status symbol.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have it polished up.
Right.
I'm gonna drive. Everybody's gonna see me.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's gonna know that I have this. They can see me at the pump. They'll see me some more.
Right.
So I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It's a weird niche part of the market that diesel would have served, but there's no need.
Now you are going to have people who are going to come out, and I've seen the comments, and I've actually had someone who runs a Cadillac dealer tell me this on the phone the other day. Yeah, they didn't market it right. That's the big argument. If they had marketed the diesel engine in the Escalade a little bit more, they would have, or a lot more, it would have been more than 5%. Because at the end of the day, it's a bit of a chicken and the egg thing, right? Chicken or the egg thing. Which one came first, right? So the Cadillac only sells what it can make. And if it doesn't make enough of a certain unit, so if it doesn't make more than 5% of the Escalade diesel, then it's not going to sell more than 5% of the Escalade diesel, right? But GM is not stupid either. And, when I say GM, I mean Cadillac as well. They're the one thing that they have, especially the new GM, post-bankruptcy, they rely on data substantially to make decisions. That doesn't mean they get it all right all the time, but their decisions are at least backed by studies, by data, and by other kinds of indicators that they're going after. So the whole argument about them not marketing it enough, and that's the reason why it went away, I don't buy it. Because if this is a great engine, the LM2, the 3-liter diesel LM2 that was in 21, 22, 23, and 24 Escalade, it's a great engine. It's not perfect. It's got a bit of a long crank thing going on, and it has its issues. But overall, the engine, in my opinion, was the best engine to get in these vehicles. Better than the L87 V8, the 6.2-liter L87 V8, just because of the way it delivered that power. And my point in saying all this is, if you need to market something so much to get people to buy it, then the thing that you're marketing probably doesn't really need to exist.
You try to create a new field, a new market for it. If it's no
artificially,
yeah, correct.
Yeah, that's what it seems like to me. Like if there's a guy on the side of the road who's selling hot dogs, and then there's a guy right next to him, and he's trying to convince you that the thing to eat instead of the hot dog is a fried piece of paper, right? And no one's buying it, and he is going to launch a marketing campaign. That's not what the market wants. The market does not want to eat paper. The market wants a hot dog.
Or a corn dog.
Or even better.
Well, that's what it used to be before, is you would see that constant push, that back and forth between the market and what was being designed. It was a pretty good feed, but I guess, from what I can see, once you started rolling out the EV, the AV, all that stuff, and it started dividing those research dollars, the R&D dollars. Well,
this is easy. This one doesn't really have anything to do with research at all. I think this was a very conscious decision.
Just to tank it?
Yeah, because the Yukon and the Suburban and the Tahoe 25, which are all platform mates to the Escalade, they all have the updated 3-liter diesel, the LZ0. So from a validation and development standpoint, that was already all there.
Okay.
They, I think, just want to focus on selling what the market wants to buy. And the few customers that did opt for the diesel, well, will they be okay with not opting for the diesel? My question is, the customers who bought the Escalade diesel during the model years that it was available, Did they buy it because it was the diesel? Or did they buy it because it was the only thing available? Meaning maybe there wasn't a vehicle, an Escalade available on the lot at the time with the 6.2. Maybe that's all the dealer had. Maybe that's all they took. So my question is, how many people out there actually wanted the Escalade diesel? And I think there probably are people who consciously went out and bought themselves that specific combination. But then those people probably could, if they really want the diesel, they can go to the Yukon Denali.
Do you think that if we factor out the people that maybe just showed up and couldn't get anything outside of the diesel, that 5% would be lower?
Probably, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think so. And the thing is, again, that if anyone's looking to be, environmentally friendly, economical, then the Escalade isn't the vehicle to do that on. But if they want to adopt or, play that green card, the environmentally friendly card, well, Cadillac now has the Escalade IQ. And that is, that versus the diesel, obviously. The perception is that diesel is dirty. The perception is that an electric vehicle is going to save the earth and everyone around it, even though, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many, they're actually not anything like that. I'm not going to get into why, but it's far from reality, right? And an EV is not all that great for the earth just based on, the mining and the whatever other processes that need to.
It's a huge ton of problems: infrastructure, mining issues, supply and demand chains.
So it's all perception. I mean, but if the purpose of getting an Escalade diesel is to, I'm getting the green thing, I'm getting the thing that's more economical, that's friendlier for the environment, gets better fuel economy, so on and so forth, then the Escalade IQ will, be a much better solution there for those
Heavier price tag,
kinds of
though.
people. Yeah, but again, those people don't care.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
150 grand, it's 130 grand. What's 30 grand amongst friends when you're talking about an Escalade for again, the ICE Escalade? It's transacting. It's still transacting. I think it's actually fallen the last couple of months because of the incentive. They've actually introduced an incentive on the Escalade for the first time in years, I believe in September. But prior to that, it was transacting at about 105K average. And someone who's spending 105K for an Escalade with an internal combustion engine, it's safe to say that they could stretch a bit and go to 130K. Especially when you start working out the leases and depending on what the residuals are. So my point is, it's not that big of a stretch. And then, if anyone really wants the diesel in a full-size SUV, there's always the Yukon Denali. That's pretty luxurious as well. And there's always the Tahoe and Suburban High Country that you can get the diesel engine in as well, which are also pretty luxurious. I actually happen to have driven the 2025 Tahoe and Suburban, the refreshed models, with the LZ0. So it's the updated 3-liter Duramax straight six. And I can tell you right away, the LZ0 compared to the LM2, which was the prior diesel, you can feel it. It makes more power and more torque, and you feel the additional torque, and it's more refined, and it sounds better. So especially at wide open throttle, like the LM2 sounded a bit, there were times in the rev range that it kind of sounded a bit tinny. The LZ0 seems to fix all that. I mean, I didn't spend a whole week with these trucks. I spent just about a day, but they sounded much better. So the LZ0 it's still there. It's just not in the Escalade.
It's kind of sad, man. Especially after all those upgrades, they worked it out a little bit. The kinks, the smoothing it out.
That I can see. That I actually, I completely agree. It is a bit sad. It would have been nice to get for me, the whole thing behind a diesel is the torque and the range because of the higher fuel economy. But I don't care about the fuel economy. I just don't want to get out and fill up. That's my whole thing. I don't feel like filling up to me, it's a
waste of time.
It's a waste of time.
It really is. The thing is, here's the deal. If you got kids, every time you stop that vehicle, everybody gets out of their seat. Everybody wants to go pee. You're going to lose quite a bit of time.
Yep.
As long as you're driving, everybody's happy. You'll get there sooner.
That's the only reason for me personally. Like, I wouldn't buy a diesel because it's economical. I'm going to save money. Diesel is more expensive in the United States anyway than it is in most other parts of the most developed parts of the world. So there is no benefit to getting a diesel vehicle with, especially one of these full-size SUVs with a diesel engine, just for the sake of pinching a penny, right, or two. But the torque, yeah, 495 pound-feet of torque on the Escalade, on the LZ0 now, which is not offered in the Escalade, and beyond that, the range between Phillips.
And one thing that you kept on like bringing up was the delivery of that torque was way better.
Yeah,
it
still is.
To the ICE, like the regular, like the what is it, the 6.0?
The 6.2, yeah, the 6.2. It's the 6.2. It has 460 pound-feet of torque, 420 horsepower, but it just in a body on frame vehicle, it kind of introduces all kinds of these secondary body movements that are literally made by the acceleration of the vehicle, by the engine, right? So when you drive the 6.2 Escalade and you drive the the one with the diesel back to back, the diesel feels smoother. It doesn't feel as fast, but it just feels smoother, and the body doesn't tilt and pitch and yaw and do all these other things that the 6.2 does.
It's a shame. Would have been nice to see it. All right. Any final thoughts on this one?
No, I think we've exhausted the diesel or lack thereof.
Alrighty, everyone. Thank you all for joining us on the 15th episode of the Cadillac Society podcast. You can find this show at cadillacsociety.com/podcast and on the MOTROLIX Network YouTube channel. Please remember to hit that like button and give us a follow or subscribe. We are also on your favorite podcatchers, so be sure to subscribe and leave a review there. If you would like us to discuss something specific, you can now suggest a topic by going to cadillacsociety.com/podcast. And as we mentioned earlier, if you enjoy this show, please share it, tweet it, put it on Facebook, send the YouTube link to your friends. The more people that know about the Cadillac Society podcast, the merrier.
Absolutely. And stay tuned for our 16th episode next week, where we will discuss a V-Series vehicle.
Ooh.
That's all I can say for now.
I saw the preview.
You saw the preview, right?
Excited.
Yes, me too. Until then, be sure to visit CadillacSociety.com for the latest news and Cadillac forums.
MOTROLIX.
Cadillac Society is an independent enthusiast website and podcast and is not affiliated with, sponsored by, or otherwise associated with Cadillac or General Motors.